Good morning, people. Today, I have my very special guest, Harun Rabbani. How are you, Harun?
I'm absolutely amazing. Thank you very much for inviting me over and asking.
It's my absolute pleasure. Let's just start off. Can you just let us know what have you been doing, a bit about your past, and what you're currently doing at the moment?
Okay, so I know you can't tell except the white beard. I'm actually going to be 52 this year at the time of recording. And so I have been in entrepreneurship since the age of 12, so 40 years. It started off in family business, working for my father. Hated the job, but I had to do it because it needed to be done. This is our only source of income. I was serving customers. It's interesting. I was serving customers curry. They would come and order their stuff. And I know most people are educated now, but this is in Sunderland in 1982, where when someone went out for a curry, they thought the hottest curry on the menu or the one that's off the menu or the two that's off the menu, and absolutely hammered in booze, totally drunk. So they'd come in and order something like, I don't know, chicken vindaloo with chips. And even at the thought of it now, I want to hurl, because I'm a curry muncher. I've grown up in this culture. And so to me, I thought, okay, at least eat something decent. And I said, look, there's an invention that you probably may have heard of. It's been around 5,000, 6,000 years. It's called rice. So you might want to try this with rice. So they try it with rice. And I'd say to them while they're still there, and I tell you what, it's good if you're just having chicken or lamb or whatever, it's good to have some vegetables. So why don't you get a vegetable bhaji? And you've probably not tried this out, but there's something called Peshwari naan. For those of you Indian lovers, of course, are going to be watering at the mouth right now. So by the time they'd finished, they'd have about, instead of getting chicken vindaloo with rice, they've downgraded to, not downgraded in my mind, upgraded, but downgraded in the spiciness to Rogan, Josh chicken Rogan, meat Rogan, prawn Rogan, something like that, with rice, with naan, no chips involved, if you notice, with naan, with a side dish, and a couple of poppadoms thrown for added measure. I only told them to buy that because I thought, what would I eat? Oh, and onion bhajis, don't forget those are starters. What would I eat? Not, I'm trying to sell something to them because I really didn't give a monkeys. I just wanted to hurl at the thought of what they'd have to eat. And so that was in 1982 for a few years. Business went bust because my father, it was his first proper business venture. And he tried to do it alone, and no self-made millionaire or self-made anybody did it by themselves, as most people will understand. So that went bust, and I continued working until my university years. And then I actually wanted to go into stockbroking because I had a fascination about stocks and shares and buying and selling back then. And I actually worked in a stockbroking firm for a while. While I was away in summer during university years, I was on a holiday. I went to America. Door-to-door selling. My excuse wasn't to do door-to-door selling. That was my excuse to get over to America, get a visa to go and do some work, primarily to go and visit America. And what was interesting was I was too busy partying. I was in partying mode at this time. I was too busy partying to actually do any of the training beforehand. And even during, I didn't really pay attention. And so we were sent off from Nashville, Tennessee, all the way to Michigan, selling books door to door. I was there for a week and I hated it. Once again, 6:59 a.m., you had to knock on your first door and be back, finish at 6 p.m. So when you've had rattlesnakes chase after you and you've had massive dogs that really, you think they're going to kill a wolf or that kind of sized dog chase after you after a while, plus I didn't really know my stuff, I quit. So on the way, on the 24-hour journey on the Greyhound bus back to New York, it may have been longer, I started reading the books that they gave me, and they started listening to the motivational tapes. And I thought, oh my goodness, I could have made a killing had I known my stuff, number one. Number two, I was listening to motivational speakers and I thought, wow, I can do that. That was when my first seed was planted to actually be a speaker, which currently I have been for nearly 20 years now. So fast forward into leaving I quit. So, and being at this point, I haven't, audience won't know this, but I was a fighter. I was a champion. I was a martial artist, and I wasn't used to quitting, even after got the heebie-jeebies beaten out of me. Keeping it clean, the language. I was not used to quitting. I would fight on. My training partner, I was at the time 5'6", during my teen years, 7.5 stone. My training partner, same age as me, except he was 6'6" and he was 15 stone. He is now still 6'6", but he's about 30 stone. He's like, he doesn't quite look after his health. So he was my training partner. I trained with guys way bigger than me. Everyone was way bigger than me. Fast forward to selling medical equipment. So I left and I thought, I've got to take on a sales job. And if I take on this job, I'm going to at least prove to myself that I'm not a quitter, that I can do this. That's the only reason I went into selling. My intention was actually, before the degree, was to become a stockbroker, become a trader, become an analyst, where the money was and where I had a fascination. And in doing the door-to-door, in doing medical sales, selling devices, I just got drawn in. And I realized that, oh my goodness, I can do really well in this. Nobody can dictate if I'm good enough. Only I can do that by taking action, taking inspired action, and just never, ever giving up. And you know what? I did extremely well. And I was there 4 years in a company called Olympus KeyMed, massive company. And then later on, I went to another company. I was number one in that second company all the way through. So there's some lessons there because seeds are being planted. And so fast forward, by 2003, I left my job. I went through a divorce and I needed more time to myself so I can spend with my kids. So I thought I'll set up my own business, training and coaching people in selling, particularly entrepreneurs. And that's when I met David Heiner. And, again, a new amazing partnership, relationship, friendship developed as a result. And we've done stuff together. He does the stuff on Massive Goals for those who don't know. So after training people in sales for a good few years, I got to a point where I thought, you know what? So what? Who cares? My apologies. Someone was at the door getting my Amazon screen protector thing, but they just need to. No, it's not as a neighbor. Doesn't matter. Somebody else will have to open it. So fast forwarding to, you got to cut this bit out. You don't have to. So when I was teaching people these sales, I was thinking, so what? Number one, they're just selling just to make money. Number two, they didn't have any passion for anything that they did. They had absolutely no enthusiasm for what they did. So I started researching. I started thinking, how can me, one person, make a difference to the world? I can't do it on my own. So how can I transform myself? And so that's when I started exploring the movie The Secret, What the Bleep Do We Know, the movie Zeitgeist. And I thought, well, The Secret is all about me, law of attraction. And I thought that doesn't quite resonate. And What the Bleep was going into the quantum physics of how do we create our reality? So I started, at that point, I did what you're doing now, which is I started, instead of thinking I'll read all these books, which I did, and watch all these videos, which I did, I thought, why don't I interview these guys? Why don't I interview the world's best experts in true transformation? How does one person change, not just me, but my audience? How do you change to make a difference to the world? And I did that for a good few years. And it got to a point where quite a few of my guests, scientists, these are like Dr. Bruce Lipton, Dr. David Hawkins. Those of you who are into consciousness will understand these names. Big names, Marianne Williamson. So they were saying, Harun, why are you doing interviewing? You understand this better than most of the people we get interviewed by. Why aren't you talking about it? Why aren't you sharing it? And this is after about 5-6 years of just interviewing, like exactly what you're doing. You start learning because you're interviewing so many people along the same area. You develop a certain level of confidence. You start developing a certain level of curiosity. And then 2013 comes, and I know I'm giving a potted history, but I think it's important because there's a lot of stories to pull out to be able to help your audience. 2013 came. I'd been divorced about 10 years. Well, I had been divorced 10 years at this point, separated 11 years. And I'd just come out of a relationship and I was brokenhearted, not from the relationship, but from all the bad relationships that were coming up as a result of the divorce. I was meeting people who were, sometimes they were like, it was almost like they were meeting my ex-wife and finding out all my raw nerves and hitting those raw nerves. And I thought, what's the common theme between these people? I thought, oh my goodness, I'm the common theme. They don't know each other. And so I started looking for healers. I started looking for psychologists, psychotherapists, people. I knew quite a few of them anyway.
Mm.
And I wanted healing. And here's what I found. And this is my life's golden nugget. Here's what I found, that most of them were doing a good job. They were working at some kind of causal level, but not really. None of them were going to the real root cause. I call the seed cause. So if you take a tree, you've got the roots, you got stem, you got the branches, you got the roots, and so on. People understand that root cause. I was talking about the seed cause. And the seed cause of all our suffering, all our fears, anxiety, procrastination, insecurities, etc., 99% of them happened between the age of 0 and 7 years of age. And so I started doing some healing work on myself, integrating some of the stuff I knew, developing my own methodology. And oh my goodness, my life changed completely. Had a father who really didn't give a toss about me. All of a sudden became compassionate. At that point, 11 years, about 11 years by 2014, 11 years, my former wife, any kind of communication, it just boiled down to just texting, when are you picking them up, etc., the boys, my kids. It was always negative. That just suddenly stopped. Clients now, I was mentoring people at this point, still coaching and mentoring people at this point. I started getting clients coming without zero advertising. And so I thought, hold on, if this works for me, maybe it can work for somebody else. Or maybe I'm just lucky. That's the other thing. I didn't assume just because it works for me, that it's going to work for somebody else, because very often it doesn't. So I thought, I'd guinea pig. So I put it out on Facebook, who wants a free healing session, in January 2014. And 10 slots snapped up. 50% of them said, all of them loved it. They got their results. 50% of them said, oh, I want to do more stuff. That's when I thought, well, I'm not going to charge you for my healing, but I'll charge you for my time, and you need to do 3 sessions. I did it again, 80% conversion rate. They started referring. I got so busy that within the next 2 months, I made more income. And it's not about money, but just to give you context, because it's immeasurable. I made more income within 2 months than I usually make within a year.
Yeah.
So, and it's a good salary. It's above average income, just to let you know. And so my intention was, if I can get rid of my suffering, or majority, you can't get rid of all of it. If you do, you become enlightened, you become like a Buddha. So we're still ongoing, we work on ourselves all the time. So having done that, I thought, I want to help more people. So I set up a clinic, help people. And up till now, I've done 7,500 hours of one-to-one healing, plus 22 retreats. And here's what I found, that when the student is really ready, I was a student, they become the teacher. I said, there's no way I'm going to reach out to as many people as I like until I teach others. So that's where I'm at. I teach energy healers. I teach people who are from different backgrounds to become energy healers. But the key thing is, James, to understand is that in order to become anything of any significance, you got to do the damn work on yourself first.
Yeah.
If you don't do the work on yourself, forget it. It's called inauthenticity. There you go. Long answer, short question.
I'm going to challenge you on obviously you mentioned about a lot of the seed. Obviously it starts from 0 to 7. I'm going to go a step further and say some of it's past life.
I agree, but not everybody. How can I put it? Not everybody will understand past life, and it's primarily religious belief, or just so you got several groups in society now. You've got those who are atheists, those who are agnostic. Atheists are saying, yeah, we're a mechanistic being. We're born, we die. That's it. End of story. Religious, there's the religious people. I'm not talking about religion now. I'm talking about spirituality and consciousness, which has got nothing to do with religion. Religion integrates it, but it's not about religion. So if somebody comes, say, from one of the Abrahamic traditions, they're going to deny that there's past lives. I totally agree. So majority of this life's stuff is this life. There's a lot of people who will jump into past life. I'm thinking, hold on. Part of your journey is to sort out your personality in this life, because if you're a miserable scrote and being horrible to people here, you need to sort that shit out now, because that's got nothing to do with past life. That's just how you deal with people. So it's very important to put everything contextually.
Yeah.
For me, I will work on someone on this life level first.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's blaringly, blatantly obvious it might be a past life thing, but I'm very mindful because I don't do too much past life stuff, only because the people who are the great masters at doing past life regression are your qualified hypnotherapists. They're actually qualified in hypnotherapy and they're qualified in regression, not qualified hypnotherapists or hypnotists, qualified hypnotherapists who are also because it's a dangerous ground you're walking on. Because even in the people working in this life, the danger is this, that, and I've seen healers, therapists, plant seeds in the person who then believes something happened to them which never did.
Mm-hmm.
Very dangerous. So this is why I train people, and I'm a brutal taskmaster in a nice way. You're a firefighter, so you know how the training is. To me, I'm helping save lives. Because if you're living your life through the ego of fear, ego of, arrogance or any kind of egotistic point, if you're operating from, you're suffering, you're not speaking your truth, you're not living your truth. As a result, you live a lie. I'm saving people from doing that. So in order to do that, A, I need to work on me consistently and constantly. B, I've got to be very, very mindful as to what words I plant. And, with the NLP, people understand this, that it's easy to plant a seed and get people to think about something that may not be true.
Yeah. Okay. Let's quickly just head back to the first, 0 to 7. With your parents, what did they instill in you that made you become an entrepreneur at age 12?
Okay, great question. By the way, can I just ask, how deep do you want to go into this interview? And you can keep this recording. How deep do you want to go? Or do you want to, depends on your audience. If you go ultra deep, then that's a different matter. But I sense we need to keep not super deep, but slightly higher.
Yeah. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to delve deeper into your mindset, because quite often the mindset that we have now is basically from the ages of 0 to 7. So say if you've got a high achiever who is taking action every day to achieve, say, a millionaire or billionaire, then they must have something in the past which has basically instilled that into them. Then
Absolutely.
Environment, I suppose, as well.
Absolutely. So I can't remember. I'll answer your question regarding me, but I want to give you an example of how important this is. So there's a current day entrepreneur there, most people know. When he was a little kid, I can't remember if it was 3 or 5, his mother took him out to a field about 2 miles away from home, and she said to him, make your way home, just show that you're brave enough to come home to me. And so he did that, and ever since then he's been driven by adventure, he's been driven by risk but not too risky. He's been driven by creativity and opportunity. And of course, as a result of that drive that he developed at such a young, tender age, it almost sounds cruel. It will be cruel in this day and age. Back then, he's quite old now. He was safe. He's Richard Branson.
Yeah.
Richard Branson, if you follow his life story and what he's been up to, he's constantly trying to please his mother. That's what's going on subconsciously. So for me, my own father, so you talk about past lives as well as current life. On my father's side, going back, before he was orphaned, his parents, so I never met them, obviously, if he was orphaned. And before that, 600 years of healers and mystics. On my mother's side, on my great-grandfather, going back, they were all entrepreneurs.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's almost like both of those have merged. So when I was very young, came to this country when I was only not even 5, my father worked in factories, and factories only paid so much, and he was looking for entrepreneurial opportunities. So started one business there, and they kept failing, and eventually he succeeded, but he kept stopping. So for him, the attitude was very much like, if I can't make it as I am, I'm going to find ways to make it.
Yeah. Okay.
And that's the first thing. The other thing is work ethic. My God, the guy has got a crazy amount of work ethic. So that came at a very young age. And then at the age of 12, I saw that in action. I saw that as in I was involved directly. So as a result of that mindset of, I am here to serve. So when I was serving those curries, my mindset was, I can't eat that crap. How can you eat it? So I want them to have a better experience. I then applied that in medical sales. And whilst my colleagues would go into a hospital and walk away with £200 order, I'd walk away with 5,000, £1,000 order, £2,000 order. Why? Because I would really ask questions, find out what the heck are they trying to actually do? Not like, oh my God, they're dying to buy this. Let me just sell it to them. No, stop. What are you, why do you want to buy it? I know I'm selling. Why though? I want to know. And then when I really understand, and this isn't just in sales, this could be in coaching. Very important. You got to ask the right questions, right? This could be in training. This could be as a healer. You have to ask questions. And so all of that was instilled at this curiosity from a very young age, which was, what can I do to make this better?
Yeah. That makes complete sense, because if you think of the pain points, you've got to delve deep into that person, because just going and saying, you want to buy this from me, they're probably going to say no. But if you can connect with them on such a deep level that you find out what's really stopping them, what's basically giving them pain points, and if you are able then to deal with that, they would literally pay an unlimited amount of money if you can solve their problems.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, one of the things that a lot of people think is, hey, you're a natural born speaker. You've got the gift of the gab. You use sales technique. Let me tell you this. I was super introverted up to the age of 16. When I started martial arts, and I'm still in touch with my Kung Fu brothers from back then, 35, 40 years later, when I started, when they asked even open-ended questions, my answers were yes and no answers. I did not speak. When I sold medical equipment, I'm selling to doctors. These guys are clever. They know their stuff. So you can't pull the wool over their eyes. And so the technique, the strategy, my strategy was one simple strategy: build relationships. People buy people who they know, like, and trust. People buy from people who they know, like, and trust. So I'm not going to do a dance and a jig or whatever to get them to know me. I'll ask them questions, because another secret across about all relationships and all business is this: people love, like you've asked me questions, look how long I can talk for. so I used to do the same with doctors. I'd ask them a question relating, not about family and thing, relating to the procedure they're doing, and they love teaching. And literally there'll be occasions where they'll say, Harun, were you here to show us some equipment today or something? After about 3 hours, I say, oh yeah, sure. Here's this. What do you reckon? Oh, let me give it a shot. All right. Oh, I like it. How much is it? £99. Wow. But I buy it from your competitor for 55. I said, so it's so expensive. And I said, yeah, is it? And this is one customer, for example. And I stayed silent, and he started so you listen, you see, I asked the right question and listen. He justified himself why it was worth paying £49 more for my product. So he bought 25 grand's worth of kit. That's nearly 1 month's target, simply by listening. So it's very important. I mean, the people who are ever going to make it to the top as a healer, as a coach, as a salesperson, as any kind of entrepreneur, are the ones humble enough to think, I'm stupid compared to that person. I'm going to learn. And then you share with them. Those who believe that they know it all, they can do well now and again, but they can't pull the wool over people's eyes for long enough. Most people, here's a little, I've got so many secrets to share with you. Just mentioning somebody's name makes them pay attention to you. Have you ever been in a party and so many people talking, and then somebody says your name and you hear your name through everybody? That happens to us all. So just hearing that. But the second part is this: everybody you will meet ever has got something to share. Well, not ever, because some people like me already do it. So they've got something to share, but they've still got their music in them. And the fact that you're asking the question in a very interesting and interested way gives them an opportunity to vent or release some of what's inside of them. And you know what they do? That's how you start earning trust. They start trusting you. They might not be able to afford stuff or whatever from you as yet. That's just the trust bit. If you allow them to communicate because you're asking good questions, they will start trusting you.
Yeah. Well, I'm doing. Do you know? You've heard of Mind Valley?
Yeah.
So I'm doing a Michael Beckwith
Yes.
course. Well, I've done it before, but I'm redoing it. And the bit I'm in at the moment is asking yourself great questions.
Yes.
Because you ask yourself great questions, you then can connect and use your intuition to find the answers. Because
Yes.
we all have the answers, but I'm learning slowly. It's having the patience and the ability to quiet them down so that we can actually hear it.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, all the same story across all parts of the world. There's a race between two animals. The tortoise always wins. The tortoise always wins. It's just so slow, incremental work, patiently. You don't have to do the work patiently, but just be patient with yourself. You know, patience all the way. As long as you put in the work in a smart way, in a conscious way, and you stay patient, then success will come.
If we just delve a bit further on with regards to your martial arts, if you connect your entrepreneur side and your martial arts side, how did it kind of affect you to become the person you are today? What kind of things did it instill into you?
When I started martial arts at the age of 14, I just turned 14, I was the skinniest guy, the smallest guy, the lightest guy in the class. Everyone else was bigger than me, or they're older than me, or they had much more experience than me. And one thing I had going for me, and no, you all normally hear people saying this, is anger. I had a heck of a temper. I didn't take it out on anyone. I got angry with myself. I used to get beaten in practice, not on the street. In practice, I used to get beaten. I couldn't get the techniques right, but I was persistent, and I would practice at home, and I'd come back and I'd practice. And then eventually, after about 18 months, I started defending, not even attacking. And I continued the practice. And another 6 months later, the very same guys, which is just about everybody in the club, who'd beaten me, were all getting beaten by me all the time, but a lot more. And then I entered competition. So I was very nervous. And even in competition, all I want to do is just be number one. Just be number one. And that goes back to programming, childhood programming anyway. So when I did sales, medical sales, coming back into that, I didn't want to, I wanted to make the money. But I thought, well, hold on, if I'm number one, then at least I'll make the most amount of money. So that at least I'll make money and to the maximum potential. That's what I did. I aimed to do that. It took longer. A lot of people think, someone just jumps in it and suddenly becomes success. No, first 6 months in that first company I worked for, they nearly sacked me 3 times simply because they weren't seeing the results. But suddenly, just like in my martial arts, things changed. And so that second company I worked for, medical devices again, different area, ENT instead of endoscopy. And I became number one within 6 weeks because I'd learned all the strategies, the tricks and tips. I was getting ridiculous amount of sales, seriously ridiculous. Everyone else wanted to be number two. My manager at the time said he would try to motivate me. Harun, you can make more money if you get this more sales, because obviously it affects his pocket. I was already number one. I thought, no, money doesn't drive me. You got to try again. And when he tried again, he got it wrong and said, look, hint, I just want to be number one. And so at any point, if colleagues got to close to even being close to me for the month, I'd just turn up the gear. And as per turning up the gear, all of a sudden, I'm way ahead. So, everyone is competing to be just number two. How does that apply in business? Now, let me give you one caveat, though. Doing everything to be number one was killing my body.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because that means I'm stressing. Because I was throughout this period, which I haven't told you, I was worried I'd get the sack. I was number one, and I was always worried I would lose my job. First job, second job. In the end, this company was giving me crap because they wanted a lot more paperwork and predictions, etc. Which was what everyone else was doing. I just thought, oh, you want sales? That's in the title, and I'm getting the sales. So in the end, they gave so much hassle for that. I just left and set up my own business. Plus, I was going through divorce, which gave me another reason to leave. So when I started learning healing, I wanted to learn just one or two techniques and be number one at that. And I became that. When I say I became that, just number one for me now. There's nobody to compete with. It's just within myself. I wanted to be the best that I can be. And when I taught meditation, I wanted to teach meditation to get the best results for people that they've not gotten anywhere else. So I've done that along the way. The caveat bits, being stressed and worried you're not going to be number one or you might lose the job. Number one, it affects your kidneys because your adrenals are overactive. Yeah, exactly. You got to work on your kidneys, right? Your adrenals overactive. And for me, I was always worried I wasn't good enough from when I was a young kid, from when I was a teenage years. In the teenage years, I was living in an area where there's a lot of racism. And my father was violent and aggressive and quite horrible stuff. A lot of threats happening, which put you in survival mode. And so to the point that it damaged my body. So I realized one day, I actually met a healer in an event that I went to, and I wasn't even looking. This is in 2002 or 3, and they said, "Oh, your kidney energy is all shot to pieces." I thought, "What the hell did they know? They haven't even examined me." And they can see my energy field, they can see my aura, and so I realized what was driving me was when I was a little kid, 5 years old. My father would say, "If you do this, I'm going to be happy. If you achieve this particular goal," and then I'll go for it, nearly get there, and he'll give me another goal, but never praise me. So then it's constantly opening up, widening the goalposts and changing the goalposts, but never giving credit and approval. So it's constantly seeking internally, psychologically, seeking approval from my father. And so I translated that without realizing into my work, and it was damaging my body. It's only after I started healing me that the problem of wanting to be number one is gone. Now, if I do compete, I'm having such a joke and a laugh because my neural pathway is designed to compete, but I'm now no longer driven by, oh, I'm not going to be good enough, because I am good enough. 80% of people, you'll find they've got an issue of, I'm not good enough. Not me, them, inside of them. They are not good enough. And so that affects their relationship, their health, their career, their money, etc.
Yeah. Well, I've noticed that in myself because quite often, recently, the last last 4 months, I've been on 4 dates. The last one being last night. And what I found is the 3 other ones, I'm obviously starting to heal it now. The 3 other ones, I'm always looking to impress because you want that approval. And it's the same with friends. You do things to impress them because you want that approval.
Probably about half of society is seeking approval and validation for others. But in a relationships, I've helped a lot of people in their relationships or bring them back together or attract a partner. And so in a heterosexual relationship, you said woman. So in a heterosexual relationship, we are biologically programmed to expect things and want certain things. And without going into detail of your stuff, because I won't do that on it, without going to that. So many people are seeking approval. And as a result of seeking approval, they'll constantly try to impress others.
Yeah.
But what's really happening is they're disapproving of themselves. Somebody, you can call me anything under the sun. I won't get offended. I might not talk to you. I say, but a guy's a bit rude. But I grew up in a very racist society up in Sunderland. And so, there's very few things you can ever say. Very few things, maybe nothing that you can say to offend me. Why? I don't need your approval or validation. If a mantra that I teach all my clients at some point is, what other people think about me is none of my business.
Yeah.
So important, because I grew up first years of my life, early years, up to the age of 12. I grew up in Aston in Birmingham, which is not a million miles away from you. And Aston is one of those places which was very rough in those days. And later on, I'd see guys driving these flash cars. I'm thinking, man can't afford it. How is he driving? I know he can't afford it because I know what he's doing. Why is he doing that? Why are they dressing like that? It's okay to dress smart. There's nothing wrong with having flash car, nothing like that. It's more like what these people are driven materialistically to impress everybody else. The truth is, everybody that you're impressing aren't going to pay your mortgage. They're not going to pay your bill. They're not going to be at your bedside. They're not going to give a monkeys about you. And yet you're spending your life trying to impress them.
Yeah.
So in terms of relationships, female, what she's looking for is not necessarily you to impress her, which is very animal instinct thing. You know, just think of the male peacock and fanning its feathers, and the lion with the big mane. You know, in the animal kingdom, the males are the ones which are the more beautiful ones. In our human species, it's the females. So what they're actually looking for is program. I mean, obviously they're looking for way more than that. A woman is looking for somebody who will trust them, like them, honor them, appreciate them, listen to them, be there for them. One of the best ways to actually nurture any kind of relationship with a female, if you're a male, then is just to ask questions and just listen, not in a interrogation interview type style, but just ask questions and hear what they say and then expand upon that and expand upon that. And one of the things I teach in my ultimate somewhere attraction program, for example, is the red flags to spot when you're on a date, which will straight away tell you not going down that route. You see, you will attract, just imagine energy has different levels of vibration. You've got lower vibration, higher vibration. This vibration is totally related to your emotions. And so if your emotions are operating from fear and anxiety, then you will only attract into your life somebody who operates from fear and anxiety, or somebody who can sustain your fear and anxiety. If somebody is operating from joy, they've got inner joy. They don't have to jump up and down, but they're operating from joy and happiness. They're not going to try to impress anybody.
Yeah.
They're not, nobody, that other person coming along is purely a bonus. And if you're working on yourself, the trouble is this, there is a challenge. If you're working on yourself, you're down here, say your vibration's here, and this is the level you're attracting. You get rid of stuff, emotional blockages and so on, your vibration goes up. So you're going to attract another level, not this same lot, another lot. So if you're in the same relationship, here's what happens. Frequency, come together. This is called resonance. When frequency mismatches, it's called dissonance. All relationships break up as a result of dissonance. No other reason.
Yeah.
The packaging might be infidelity. The packaging might be, oh, living in a different place. Packaging might be, oh, we've got different ideas of life. Whatever. Bottom line, it's your resonance or dissonance. And so in your relationship, if you ever choose to be in a relationship yourself, for example, you're somebody who's working on yourself. If you're listening to Mind Valley, you're doing meditations, etc. with me, and you're any healing work, as you evolve, you need to find somebody who's not on the same path as you. Yeah. They don't have to be doing the exact same, but they're working on themselves. Because here's what will happen. You're together and it's a bit of this, and they move up. That person, she might evolve, but you might evolve at a faster rate. So here's what happens. At some point, and then you've got dissonance again. And so the idea is, can you, or anybody watching, can you become happy within yourself, truly happy? And when people say, yeah, so no, not by the word you tell me, by your day-to-day activities. What are you being driven by? I had a client who came to me who was going to all the different, what sites was she going on? She was going on the dating sites. I think she was signed up to 3 or 4 dating sites. Every week, she would get on average about 3 dates, as in she'd go out for, this is the before times, before pandemic times. So she'll go out on a date and she was unhappy. She came to me, she said, she was very good looking, very attractive, etc. She said, I can't find any guy who I can resonate with. So we did some work on the deep level. Turns out father issues, of course, not always, but it turns out to be father issues. We worked through that. There's a bit of mother stuff, worked through that. And then we did the setting the intention. We said, okay, what are you after? I kid you not. She wanted, so the Indian girl wanted the woman. I say girl because she was 30 back then and I'm 50 now, 51. So now it sounds like girl. So Asian woman, South Asian woman, and she wanted to be with a guy who's Italian, 6'4", and she could see that he's got in her mind, he's got a wavy silver or grey hair, broad shoulders, etc. And there's a lot more. So we did the work. A few months later, she didn't tell me, by the way. I see on Facebook, she's dating this guy who is exactly the same description as she said, except the hair was black and not grey or silvery. 6'4", Italian, she was looking for, and she lives in London. He's from Italy, so they just came together. But that's because she's done the internal work first.
Yeah,
they're still together, as far as I'm aware.
Yeah. Let's just, I 100% agree, because my first breakup, which put me up on when I started to do a bit more spiritual and personal growth, we grew apart. I was the kind of person who was always looking to improve myself with personal spiritual growth. Whereas she kind of didn't, and she had a lot of stuff going on. So it was kind of, we kind of pulled apart because we weren't vibrating at the same level.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what it boils down to. It's your vibration. I mean, let's be honest. I'm not talking about your partners or anything like that. Who wants to be with somebody miserable? Who wants to be with somebody who's depressed all the time? It doesn't mean we don't have ups and downs. We all do. I get my down moments, plenty of them. But it's how long you stay there. But the dominant vibration is the one that, so in my teen years in Sunderland, my dominant vibration was anger, which was useful for society in case I needed to get into a fight at a drop of a hat, which I did a few times on the street. So my dominant vibration was anger. But then what kind of person am I going to attract? When I moved to Birmingham after that, in adulthood at university, I wasn't angry, but I was Mr. bad boy kind of thing. I was still doing martial arts, and people would leave me alone because they'd one look at me and they'd say, nah, leave him alone. But then what kind of person will I attract at that level? And that's how I met my wife, by the way. So, and then we separated, obviously, and divorced and so on. So we now inner peace and joy.
Yeah.
I don't need, being in a relationship is one thing, but I don't need that to create joy for myself. Somebody else, happiness, sadness, anger, where does it happen? It's an inside job. Nobody can make you happy. Being in a relationship, you might be happy being in a relationship, but that person isn't the one making you happy. You are allowing yourself to be happy. So we don't want to be with somebody miserable, somebody who's depressed, etc. To make sure you're not that somebody.
Yeah. Do you have any morning or evening routines?
Yes, I do. So currently at the time of recording, I'm fasting, so I have a very strict regime. But let's go out of the fasting routine. So mornings, first thing, and this is, I like to and I do, but I don't always do. So just please understand that. I like to wake up in the morning. I make my coffee. I make my coffee. I don't drink it straight away. First thing, pint of water. Warm water with a lemon, slice of lemon. What does that do? That detoxes your body, alkalizes your body, cleans. Everybody has morning breath, right? To some degree. Where do you think that's coming from? It's coming from your guts. So you're cleaning it out. That's the first thing you do. Very first thing that, and I make coffee because of the ritual. I roast my, coffee beans and so on. So once that's water's drunk, I've done that. Yoga. So I'll go and do yoga minimum 20 minutes, half an hour, maybe an hour first thing in the morning. If I'm not doing yoga, it's the gym. Do that. And then meditation. Ideally, I don't always do it. I do it every day, but I don't always do it in the morning. Morning is ideal. 10 minutes, 20 minutes, half an hour. I tell you what, meditation has been one of the most amazing tools that I've used for me and I've used for my clients, because that's the only time you're creating true me time where, so I deal with a lot of people with health issues, chronic health issues, cancer and autoimmune disease and so on. And if you look at all diseases, where they stem from, it comes back. Number one, actually, the 7 layers, but on a human level, there's 6 layers. As in this life level, there's 6 layers. Number one is your mind, your thoughts, your beliefs, and your mindset. Number 2 is your lifestyle. So if your mindset is incorrect and your lifestyle or needs tweaking and your lifestyle isn't so healthy, then number 3, you start building up toxins. Number 4th stage, you start getting disease. 5th stage, you start noticing the symptoms. So you get the disease, you don't notice the symptoms until much later. Cancer is a classic example. 6th state is you go into, well, basically you're going to die. You're not dead yet. So if you're going to heal so many people, the place to heal them at is on the lifestyle and on the mindset. Because you can have a great mindset, but if you don't act on it, it means diddly squat. Now, for those who are deeply spiritual, your soul level, your karmic lessons, your past lives, all of them, they're actually the first level. So that will affect your beliefs, your mindset, your patterns, what you're attracting to your side. So that is important. You talked about that earlier, so I'm just bringing that in. So my rituals, going back to rituals, number 1 ritual, water without fail. Number 2, coffee isn't part of the important ritual. I just do it because it gives me, it's very meditative for me, because it's like doing the Japanese tea ceremonies. I just do the Harun coffee ceremony, then yoga, and then meditation. The yoga, when I do the yoga and the pranayama, it's breath work, which allows, the pranayama is breath work, which is actually very healing, prepares you for the yoga. And the yoga, you do specific breathing exercises, which prepares you for the meditation. Put them all together. Guess what? I live and breathe what I teach, what I sell. Everything is the same. So how about my meditation programs and so on, all of those, I live and breathe every single day. And those are my key rituals. And another ritual I will do, now that the gyms are back open, 3 to 4 times a week, I'll go to the gym. Very important ritual. Nighttime rituals is important as well. Go to sleep early, because your brain cells actually shrink. They actually shrink the cell to allow the cerebrospinal fluid to flush out all the toxins from your brain.
Okay.
It only happens between 9 p.m. and 11 p.m. when you're asleep. So you can go to sleep. If you can get to bed by 9:30, be asleep by 10, you'll have 1 hour of detoxing your brain. For those people who are suffering from anxiety, your clients, people watching anxiety, depression, brain fog, my God, that's the one that you need to go for. Go to sleep early.
That's cool. Like that. Obviously, things don't always work smoothly. So in a time in your life where things perhaps haven't worked out, how did you overcome that? And what did you specifically do to get yourself back on track?
Okay, so it depends on what those things are. Okay. And remember, I'm not a model of perfection. I get things wrong or incorrect. They're not wrong, but if you don't learn from your experiences, then they become wrong. So when you learn from them, then they're not wrong, they're learning experiences. So, well, how do you overcome them? I'll tell you what, my most horrendous thing that went wrong, so-called, was my divorce. I wanted to destroy my own life. I wanted to kill myself. That's the truth. I felt like a total and utter abject failure. And a lot of men go through this. So I only knew this afterwards. But so many times I just wanted, I won't go on about all the negative experiences. What would I have done with hindsight? If you go through a major traumatic event like that, seek help straight away. Go to your friends to at least talk it out. It's very important. So now, a certain thing happened to me last year, which was quite unexpected, out of my control. And I'm like quite horrified by it. So the first thing I did was I thought, okay, who do I trust completely? David Heiner, another couple of the friends. I spoke to them. I said, okay. And they said, well, calm down, hold on. Actually, now it's important, no matter how well trained I am, in that moment, you have to, you can't see the wood for the trees. So I turned to either a mentor or a friend and say, okay, this is what's going on. They will reflect back to you. That's very important. Whenever anything's gone horrendously wrong, I'll speak to somebody rather than try to, what a lot of people do, especially the introverts, they internalize it. No, because you're suppressing it. That will become a mental or physical health issue later on down the line. So the first thing is talk to somebody you trust. If you don't have a friend, get a counselor. If you can't afford a counselor, there's free counselors, I'm sure, out there. If you can't find them, go onto Facebook and say, look, I need a bit of counseling help. I don't have any money. Can anyone help? You will find hundreds of people will offer to help. So that's what I do. I tend to do that. Generally, if some things go wrong, which is not so traumatic, so I'm not traumatized by it, I might get a bit cheesed off about it. So once I've gotten over the cheesed off bit, which might be a few seconds, or it might be a few hours, or a few minutes, I look back and I said, okay, what's the best thing that's come as a result of this? What's the best thing that's happened as a result?
Mm-hmm.
What's the worst thing that's happened for me? What is the gift that this person, and this is a lesson I learned years ago, what is this gift that this person is giving me without they're not realizing they're doing it, but what is it that they're giving me? So in a previous relationship way back in time, I kept asking the question, okay, what am I supposed to learn about me? Remember, they're mirroring back to you. Dr. John D. Martini says, the seer, the seeing, and the seen is always the same. We see in the world, not as the world is, but as we are.
Yeah.
So if I'm getting triggered by somebody, I'm going to say, okay, what is it that I need to know about me? This person's controlling. In what way am I controlling? Oh, okay. Yeah, actually, yeah, I am a bit controlling there. How can I change that for me? Because I'm controlling, I'm going to attract a situation, a people, a predicament, or a place that will trigger that experience. So I know everything that goes wrong actually is a gift.
Yeah.
And when you can see everything as a gift, you go, oh my goodness, your acceleration of transformation is massive. This is what I do with my clients is actually, once we're here, I don't take someone on for a one-off session. I said, no, you've had that experience for a reason. We can clear the symptoms, we can clear the seed cause. We've got to change it though. Find the gift that's there, that's been given to you. When we find the gift, I go, oh my God, I never knew that. And so people in the space of 12 sessions, 12 weeks, massive change across their life, massively, whether it be relationship, whether it be their career, because life will always bring you gifts, wrong stuff all the time. The trick is not to be so dumb that you don't recognize that the common theme between all these gifts is you. And that's how I was. That's why I kept getting my heart broken.
Yeah.
I was the common theme. So for me now, this is called wisdom. Wisdom is when you take an experience, a trauma of the past, and you got the emotional charge. Event's gone, but the emotional charge is still inside of you. That's called suffering. Wisdom is when you've got the experience, you've got the emotional charge, but you remove it and you've got the learning lesson. The emotional charge gone, learning lesson gained. This is wisdom. So this is true wisdom. When you go inside, I can't give you wisdom. I can give you guidance to find your own wisdom. So if I was to say, if you go spiritual, the point of life is very simple: to get wise, to learn all the experiences I've had in the past. And nobody can say, oh, they've had it worse than somebody else, because there's always somebody who's had it worse than you.
Yeah.
So across your life, you'll find lessons and you think, oh my goodness, my gift is there. I've dealt with rape victims, people who are gangbang rape, like multiple times, who've then found their gift, despite all that horrendous nastiness. If somebody feels nothing's going wrong in their life, if they feel they've got everything together and they feel they're happy about everything, either they can be my guru, and I haven't met that person yet, or my heart bleeds for them because they are suffering. They do know it. They just don't come to the realization that, hey, I'm carrying all this pain, because this pain, this suffering, this emotion is what becomes disease.
Okay. Yeah. Unfortunately, we've run out of time, but I would love to get you back on because there's so much to learn. Would that be possible?
Yeah. Just ping me an email and let's chat. Let's fix a date and we can do that.
Yeah, sorted. Just to finish off, can you let people know your contact details and how to get in contact with you?
Okay, so the best way to contact me is, don't contact me, is to actually go and watch my YouTube videos. Why? Because I share a lot of practical knowledge and experience there. If that resonates with you, once you've done that, resonates with you, then you can contact me. My email is harunrabbani.com. So my YouTube channel is very simple, youtube.com/Harun Rabbani. That is the best way to contact me, because everything you want to learn that you think you can get from me, well, you'll get an idea whether you resonate. Remember, if
Mhm.
we will never get along unless you and I resonate. That's why we're talking, right? That's why we have
Yeah,
some
yeah,
level of
yeah.
connection. Doesn't mean we have to resonate on everything. So if you, having watched the video, you still resonate with me, come and talk to me. Let's talk.
Thank you, Harun. It's been a pleasure.
It's been an honor. Thank you very much for having me.